everybody, and I want to welcome everybody that watches the ATN Nation live segments back to another episode. Today on this program, I have a wonderful newer ambassador to the pro staff of ATN, Brian Williams from Illinois. I want to give him a big round of applause and welcome to him to the segment. Brian, welcome.
Thank you.
We were kind of chatting here and there, back and forth, and I wanted to first welcome you, thank you, and wanted to also thank you for being part of the ATN family and part of the ATN Pro staff. You've been a great addition. You've been hunting for a long time, I believe, and using a lot of different products. Brian, tell us about yourself, kind of your history, how you ended up being on ATN Pro staff, what you have in your tool belt, and kind of walk us through your journey with ATN if you can.
Okay. I started hunting pretty hardcore in 2013. I had a buddy of mine. He and I played a lot of golf together, and he said, hey, maybe we should find something to do in the wintertime when we're not playing golf. And he used to coyote hunt, years previous.
It's pretty hard playing golf in the snow, right? In Illinois.
Especially in Illinois. It's pretty tough to play golf in the wintertime.
Yeah.
So we started hunting, predator hunting using green lights, red lights. We did that for a couple of years. Would kill, 6 to 10 coyotes, maybe a fox here and there. Just basically it was more about just getting out and hanging out with your buddy and having something to do, Then I got my first X-Sight 2 in 2017, I think. And that was, I thought I had went from the Yugo to the Cadillac. It was just unbelievable what you could do with it.
Right.
I hunted with it, and our numbers went from, 6, 8, 10, with red light, green light to, 10 to 12, to 15. We thought, oh my, this is the way to go. Well, then 2018, I bought a 4K, and I paired the 4K with a wicked light, and it was like 700 yards. I'm like, oh my Lord, this is the way to go. It instantly increased numbers into the 20s. And then I got hooked up with a new hunting partner who was as eager as I was, who was buying, ATN product, and we started getting ground. And the next thing I know, we've got Thor 4 to 40s. We've got over 150 hunting spots, and we're harvesting anywhere between 50 and 75 a year now.
So if I understand it correctly, so initially it was something to do with your friend, kind of hanging out together, spending quality time, getting out of the house, away from the wife and kids. And
Exactly.
I believe you have a daughter also, right? That hunts with you sometimes. We'll talk about that in a minute. But as soon as you kind of got into predator hunting, and you kind of started stepping up into the technology that you're using, and you saw your numbers grow, you were hooked. And I hear that constantly, and I see that constantly, and it's kind of amazing that the technology is kind of fostering this addiction of sorts to getting out there in the field and doing your part in conservation and spending time with friends or family and building a sort of a community of sorts, right?
Yeah, it's almost obsessive compulsive behavior, because I do this when I'm golfing in the springtime into the summertime. Got to have the newest driver. It's going to make me hit farther. It's going to do this. It's going to do that. When I went from red lights to X-Sight to 4K to Thor, my passion and my fire grew exponentially. It just through the roof. Through a series of things, my buddy that originally got me started, he had another little baby, and he stopped hunting as much. But I was lucky enough to get hooked up with my buddy Matt Sullivan now, and he was not afraid of technology. He's kind of an IT guy. I call him, he's kind of like my hunting geek. There's nothing he doesn't know about, whether it's an optic, a rifle, reloading. And man, he has been tremendous to hunt with. He's taught me a lot, and we just get along so good. And now we've got I'll have to show you because you'll get a kick out of this. We That's time until coyote season in Illinois. We have a timer. We have a timer on our phone that's counting the days down till our season starts.
That's great.
Um,
That's great.
it's just the passion. It's what I live for now. I come to work to be able to afford time off to go to places to hunt. It's the best thing ever. I mean, I would rather do this than golf now.
You work to live, not to live to work, basically. And could you tell
Exactly.
us about what you do for a living, if you don't mind?
I am a maintenance supervisor at a copper tube facility
Hmm.
just south of St. Louis.
Okay,
I've got electricians that work for me. I've got some millwrights, some laborers. Um, Good group of guys. Great place to work.
fantastic.
Um, it's hot in the summer and cold in the winter, but that's anywhere you go.
Well, not in California, but that's neither here or there.
Yeah, California, what is it, like 75, 80 all the time?
No, I wish. That's in the coast. Like where I live, it gets to about 105 in the summer
Oof.
sometimes, maybe 110. But it's not a wet heat. It's like a dry heat because there's not a lot of
Right.
humidity. In the winter, sometimes there's actually a little bit of snow, like just a little bit, like glaze
Gotcha.
over on the cars, kind of icy stuff. I think one year we actually had like maybe an inch of snow on the grass and the front lawn, but that's as much out here in the East Bay that we get in terms of
I
cold
gotcha.
and ice. It's nothing like Illinois. I've been to Chicago in the winter, and geez, the sleet and the black ice and the driving
Oh yeah.
conditions. I don't know how you guys do that. It's it's mayhem, in my
We
opinion.
we hunted in a tournament in a local tournament in the area in February,
Hmm.
and we had just got back from South Dakota. Matt and I went to South Dakota, loaded up everything we had, went to South Dakota, and we stayed and coyote hunted and did all that stuff. Well, this tournament, it was it was like -2, 0 degrees that weekend.
Hmm.
Well, they had so many teams drop out because they were froze. That me and Matt were like,
Right,
we just got back from South Dakota. It was -9. Like this is nothing. You
right.
know. So we hunt the tournament. It was horrible conditions, blizzard like, sleeting and snowing. It was 2 degrees, 0 degrees. We kill two coyotes and a bobcat and thought there's no way that would win. There's just
Hmm.
that was a horrible showing. We didn't even go to the weigh in or the show up on Sunday, and we'd ended up winning it if we'd have won.
See, it's another Tony Smith example of always check in. Life lesson, people.
Always
As
check in.
bad as conditions can be in a tournament or when you're in a hunting environment, and there's a check-in process. If it's bad for
Right.
you, it's just as bad for everybody else. Always check
We
in. You never know. Doesn't matter how low you think the numbers are. Check in because you might be the winner.
it, he is absolutely correct in that, and I should have learned that lesson. But I was like, Matt, there's no way that's going to win. I was like, two coyotes, a bobcat, and the bobcat wasn't even in the contest.
Mm.
We had like 4 or 5 days before season ended on bobcats, and we just got lucky that one came in. And I did have the tag this year, so it worked out great for us. And we're like, there's just no way that's going to win, and it would have. And I'm not mistaken. I think we would have won smallest as well.
Oh,
So there
okay.
would have been 50% for the most and like 25% for the smallest. But you live and you learn.
Actually, that's absolutely right. Life lessons, life
Yep.
lessons. You were saying that you took all your gear and you're hunting in sub-zero temperatures. How was the gear? Oh yeah, which gear were you using? How did it hold up to those types of temperatures? We get those questions all the time. I'm sure our listeners would love to hear your experience in extreme cold using ATN gear.
This year's South Dakota trip, this was my second year going out there. This was the coldest that it's been since I've been out there. I had a OTS LT 2 to
Mhm.
4 and OTS LT 4 to 8. I had both of those out there. I had a Thor 4 4 to 40. That was what I hunted with while I was there. Matt
Mhm.
had a 4 to 40 as well.
Mhm.
He has an older, it's a Thor HD that he uses the
Mhm.
scan with.
Okay.
And then the two guys we each took something for them. So one had an LTV and one had a 4K.
Mm-hmm.
So they were using our stuff, and that was the stuff that we had out there. I hunted 2 days in a row with my Thor 4 and never had to charge it, and we hunted 7 to 8 hours each night. So I hunted one day and had just a little over half battery, and I hunted the second day, and then I charged it. My OTS LTs, I think I hunted 3 days before I had to charge one of them.
Well,
the 4K, I can't answer that because I don't know if they plug theirs in every night or not. But that's what I used when I was out there, and our batteries are just next. I mean, there's just nothing on the market like it.
right.
I mean, I've hunted with guys that have got other stuff, Pulsar hand scanner. They use it 2-3 hours. They got to change the battery. And I'm like, not me. I'm just trucking right along. It doesn't bother me.
Right. That's amazing. That's, you can't speak to that, then the performance, right? The performance, the battery performance speaks volumes. And I know the competition really has nothing on us in terms of the battery.
Right.
In terms of image quality, I know that, there are some products that have fantastic image quality. We have some good image quality. I know you're happy with what you have. Tell me about, when you zoom in, zoom out, how, do you experience a lot of image degradation? I bet it's, a lot of it's due to environmental conditions, either humidity or cold or wet conditions. But I'd like to hear more about your experience in using the gear in like sub-zero temperatures and overall experience, throughout the seasons, either spring or summer, when you do have opportunities to do predator hunting, how the gear is really working out for you.
Well, here in Illinois, we have a 5-month night season. It starts November 10th and ends March 15th. Any other time, you're allowed to hunt coyotes only, but you get a half hour before sunrise and a half hour after sunset.
Yeah.
Then you throw in turkey season, which you're not supposed to be in the woods, and you shouldn't be in the woods when guys are turkey hunting and stuff like that. And then you get into Illinois, high humidity, high heat, and mosquitoes are terrible. So we will make, I'd say, 6 to 10 sets from June to September, and then October 1 comes and deer season starts. So we don't do anything while the guys are out in the woods, and then we start up pretty hardcore starting November. But
question: Can you use Electro Optics in Illinois for deer season, like with a 4K, to record your hunt when you're doing like whitetail or other deer?
We can't rifle hunt in Illinois.
So it's all shotgun slug or bow for deer?
Shotgun slug, bow, crossbow, and then now you can hunt with a pistol. So a lot of guys are using a 300 blackout pistol.
Wow.
But as far as I know, you could put an LTV or a 4K on a shotgun or a 300 blackout, and I would think you would be able to record your hunt. And if I'm not mistaken, I think I've seen some guys from Illinois with their deer kills on our ATN Smart Owners page.
Okay, fantastic.
I'd have to double check it, but I'm pretty sure you can.
Okay.
I don't think there's anything wrong with the recording of it.
Yeah, it's just because some states don't allow Electro Optics, period, while deer season,
Right.
because that's the law of the land in that particular state. Every state is different, so definitely encourage all our listeners and people that are tuning in to check with your local DNR about rules and regulations in your particular state and area, because you see a lot of people doing a lot of different things on the internet, on Facebook, Instagram. Smart HD owners. There's a ton of forums out there, hunting forums. And unfortunately, there's a lot of misinformation of what you can and can't do. So the best resource for you guys out there is to check with your local DNR, tell them, what you want to do, what you want to use, and they'll tell you explicitly, yes or no, what you can and cannot do in your local area when you're hunting. Because we all want to record that big buck, take videos or images and bring them back home, share with our friends and family, and have others experience the hunt with us, even though they're not there with us per se.
Right.
So it's a great, it's great to check your local rules and the regs.
Oh, absolutely. Uh,
It's
we
very
keep
important.
we keep our local DNR officers in the county. So we have county DNR officers all around, and we try to keep at least one in your phone at all time. That way, if you're in Randolph or Perry or Washington or wherever, if you've got a question or or you've you've shot one and you go to harvest it and it's on someone else's property, man, a quick text message, they usually call you back pretty quick. It's way better to do that than end up with a gaming charge
Yep.
and lose everything that you've worked for. Um, I don't see why anybody wouldn't do it. I mean, and if you're out there to do stuff on the shady side, you shouldn't be out there hunting, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, you have, I believe, what a teenage daughter, right? That you take hunting with you.
She has been with me.
How's that experience been? Has it been a good father-daughter bonding
Dad,
experience?
it's too cold.
Yeah, teenagers love to
But
complain.
yeah,
I have an 11-year-old, and all he does is complain if it's
yeah,
just slightly uncomfortable, unfortunately.
oh yeah,
But you've had her use the Thor 4, the Excite 4K. How
Excite
has she
4K.
liked it? Has she liked
Uh,
it? I'm assuming that with the teenagers nowadays, the tech savviness,
yeah.
it's an easy transition.
What's weird about it is she really likes the Wi-Fi streaming. So like we'll go to the range and she'll be shooting. And I'll be honest with you, Steve, she'd rather go to the range and shoot targets with me, like now that it's our downtime, than
Hmm.
actually have to be out at, um, 2 o'clock in the morning,
Yeah,
something like
sure.
that. Um, so it's one of those deals. But going to the range, Wi-Fi streaming it. Um, she really thinks that's kind of neat, and how you can adjust it. And she can see where we impact. And you're right, 20 years old now. Technology has, ruled her life, so much. So it's easy for her to use.
Mhm.
And like I've told many people, our optics or any optic for that matter that's electronic, it's a PC, it's a computer on top of a rifle.
Right.
You got to treat it that way, So I always tell her, treat this scope like it's your new iPhone. You know, learn how to work the menu, learn how to make your adjustments and stuff. So
Yeah, and you've been around the Smart HD owners group, and we were kind of talking back and forth a little earlier, and you mentioned that a lot of the issues you're seeing is people just ignoring the sheer fact that it is a computer on a rifle.
yep,
You got to treat it differently than a regular day optic, and you got to look at the instructions, the videos, the how-tos. If you're having issues understanding the written instructions, we have a lot of resources out there with videos and great pro staff members like yourself, create some of these how to's. And, sometimes you guys go even out of your way to contact these new entrants to the world of Smart HD and guide them. You're not using the right SD card, or you need to go into settings and, do this and do that. I see it all the time, and we appreciate you guys very much. You do a great job guiding some of these new guys and helping them out, and so they have a positive experience. And
yeah,
I keep reiterating through these segments that it's really not about just killing for the sake of killing. This is about community. This is about perpetuating the shooting sports industry, growing the industry. We want to get more people into this great sport of marksmanship, precision shooting, hunting, conservationism, being stewards of the land, and helping our fellow communities and our fellow shooters become better shooters, become better versed with not just our products, but products in general, be it e-collars or their rifles or ATN products. We want to help each other out to have a more solid community to stand up for our rights and to perpetuate the conservation mentality of the land, basically, because we want to protect our lands, our wetlands, because if we don't, then who will? And game animals and other things that we love to participate during various seasons will just go away, basically.
right. The hunting community is a community like I've never seen. Um, when I get on the ATN, Thor owners page before I became a pro staff, I would see these guys making these comments, and I would see the other pro staffers answer, and I'm like, why are these guys taking the time to talk to these guys that just don't read the owner's manual? Like, no one helped me when I bought my stuff. I didn't even know there was a Facebook Thor owners page or a smart owners page. I figured everything out on my own by reading the manual, and then when I read it again, and then I read it again, and then as people around me saw some of my videos on Facebook, they'd be like, "Hey, I got one of those, but I can't get it to do that," and then I'd
Right.
find myself doing that. Well, then when I got the opportunity to become a pro staff and I started working with Tony, I realized why we spend, I think it was close to 6 months
Yeah.
going over scenarios and this, because when you think you've answered all the questions, somebody will come back with one. You're like, I've never seen this before. Let's
Sure.
figure this out.
Right.
And then we did that. And then now when we get on the Thor owners page, I know me, I don't get on there as much as I should. But I'd say 8 to 10 times a month, I'll log on, get on there and see. And for the most part, most of the other pro staffers beat me to the punch. But if I see somebody that ain't answered one, I'll start a thread. And I think my proudest moment on there is I started a thread with a guy that asked a question. And when we were done, there were like 170 comments between he and I and probably 7 or 8 other guys. Just so I was like, started working with this guy, and then I'm working with this guy and this guy and this guy and this guy. And it was all kind of just like, not realizing you can, adjust the back, or you got to adjust the front, or,
Right.
adjust the back and then bring
It's
it
the
into
basics.
focus. The
Sometimes it's just about the
basics.
basics that people
Right.
just seem to escape them.
Yep.
Which is kind of surprising to me. If somebody's been shooting with irregular glass, you have the rear
Right.
diopter in the back, you have parallax adjustment or focus
Yep.
adjustment depending on the type of a day glass scope you have, and it's kind of common knowledge if you've been doing any kind of shooting with regular glass optics per se.
Right.
But people forget, they get used to things, doing things a particular way, and they forget and don't have a hard time going back to basics and kind of realizing that you're gonna kind of start over and relearn things because it is new, it is
Right.
technology. It's sometimes can be complex, but we have a great lineup of products that has a lot of great full features, and some products that have but we've kind of slimmed down the feature offering to make it more simple for people so they
Right.
can enjoy the experience. And when they get better at using that particular product, like let's say the X8 LTV or the Thor LT, they could transition to, let's say, the Thor 4 or the X8 4K and be able to use all those features like the ballistic calculator or the profile manager. By the
Right.
way, I wanted to ask you, do you like use a quick detach to swap your scopes between the rifles? Do you only use like one type of rifle, like just an AR platform, or do you go from a bolt action to a AR platform depending on what you're hunting or what the season is?
Now, Steve, you're going to get me in trouble because my wife's going to see this and she's going to know when I answer this question. I
Sorry.
don't switch. I don't switch optics. I am a electronics junkie when it comes to this stuff. I just buy another optic to put on it. Put on it. I don't switch my Thor 4 around very often.
Hmm.
I've had an opportunity to work with Rock River Arms.
Hmm.
I shoot one of their 243s. It's a phenomenal rifle.
Right.
It has my 640 4-40 on it.
Okay.
I've had an opportunity to use my 4K on some bolt guns. I am throwing the idea around this year about maybe hunting with a bolt gun.
Hmm.
I just recently got back from Virginia and hunted with a buddy's gun out there that he had. It was a bolt gun with a suppressor. We're not allowed to have suppressors in Illinois.
Just like California, right?
Yeah, that is, hunting with a suppressor is just phenomenal.
It's fun. Yeah, I've done it many times in Louisiana and other states, and it's a lot of fun.
We made
Um,
one stand. We made one stand and killed 6 coyotes on it, and it was all because we were suppressed. When you harvest the first one or the second one, they don't
they
hear
don't hear
anything.
it, right? They don't know where it's
See,
coming
here
from.
here in Illinois, you shoot one time, everything within 500 yards just runs.
Right, right,
You know,
right.
um,
Yeah.
but I don't switch mine around. Matt does. Matt will run his 2.5 to 25. He'll run it between a 25-06 bolt gun or a
Mhm.
300 Win Mag or a 6.5 Grendel. Um, he bought one of the Shepherd's Outdoors one-piece mounts.
Mounts, yeah.
Yep, he's got a QD mount that he bought from ATN, and he just moves them around on whatever he's feeling like hunting with that night. And
And still retaining zero, or does he
oh,
go and re-zero the
absolutely.
rifles?
Um,
Sure.
it's weird to think that it can work that way, but he has a little notepad and he writes down, okay, my mount is in the second, number 2
Slot.
slot on my
Right.
rail. He puts it back in, straps it all down, shoots it, and it is, if it's not on, it's just not far off.
Right.
Um, and he does it all the time. Like I told you before, he's kind of like my hunting geek, and he's
Mhm.
never satisfied. Like one weekend he'll want to hunt with a 6.5 Grendel AR, and the next weekend he wants to hunt with a bolt gun. And he just goes back and forth. But he's very successful at what he does. Me, on the other hand, I just like opening my safe and seeing all my rifles in there with all my ATN optics on it. Makes me feel good about myself.
I gotcha.
The wife
Question.
doesn't like it so much because it's
I
hard on the
bet.
checkbook.
I bet. I bet. And hopefully she doesn't see the segment and get you in
Oh no,
trouble.
she'll see it.
Oh man, I'm sorry. I apologize.
That's all right.
Question: have you used the Bix technology with either the binoculars or the Able with your setups, or you haven't dabbled in
Yep.
that yet? Oh, you have. Okay.
Yep.
Could you tell me
I've
about your
got
experience with the ballistics?
got an ABL 1000 and I've got
Hmm.
an ABL 1500. I've got both.
Okay.
My best scenario with an ABL was I was in Colorado 2 years ago, and we went out there to a buddy's to shoot some prairie dogs on
Hmm.
his uncle's ranch, is what I'll call it, I guess. He had cows and pastures and stuff like that. I had a 223. I had a bunch of ammo for it. So I mounted the ABL up to the 4K. And I thought, all right, I'm going to test this thing, see what it's all about. No exaggeration. Prairie dogs at 450 yards with a 223 that's probably dropping 30, 40 inches at
Yeah.
500 yards. I was hitting their dirt mound that they would come out of. I was hitting the dirt mound just to the left of them or to the right of them. As far as the height goes, I was perfect. So I would get one, it'd pop up, I'd hit the button, it'd range it, tell me how far it was. I'd let it do its calculation. I'd pull the trigger. What I couldn't figure out was the windage.
Mm.
I have to figure out where to hold left or right. So I was like, hey, this thing is right on. Like, I mean,
Right.
if you were shooting a bigger caliber that's a lot flatter, probably wouldn't need one. But like
Right.
a 223, some of the stuff that drops after 200 yards, man, it made a big difference for what we were doing out there.
And you could actually go into the environmentals and set the
Yep.
wind speed and wind direction, which will actually be incorporated in the ballistics and will help you
Right.
actually do that. But results speak for themselves. I was talking to Marno recently, and he's used the Able, and he shot like 900 meters out. Big,
Oh
medium
yeah.
sized game animals. And we've had a lot of other pro staff that has used the Able system with one of our scopes very, very successfully, shooting either steel targets at range or shooting other game animals at range, substantial range, and hitting them right in the money, and having a really positive experience, because getting the ballistics calculator out and the charts and
Oh yeah.
calculating all the dope and all that, it just takes so much time and effort. And for some people, you really have to be a math whiz to do that,
Right.
because some of the calculations can get a little bit complex depending on your scope setup, if it's mil or MOA.
Yep.
And it's not an easy task. So we really kind of did a lot of work and made it extremely accurate, depending on the information you put in. Right, as long as you put
Right.
good information, you have your ammo chronode, you have your bullet weight, you have all that information that you need to build that profile for your round into the scope. You're going to be on the money. It's one of those things that it takes out all the guesswork. I've used it several times. It's a phenomenal platform, and it really does a great job once you get things dialed in correctly, and
Right.
you just send it basically.
We have done 500 yard steel target.
Hmm.
Um, I've done it with a 223. I've done it with a 243, and my buddy Matt, he's done it with a 6.5 using the
Yeah.
ABLs.
Right. Right.
My best shot, and around here we hunt a lot of 200-300 yard fields, so we're kind of boxed in. And when the prey gets on you, uh, it's really tight and really fast. But when we were out west, we had a coyote hung up at about 400 yards, and I thought, I got it. Let's do it. It's sitting out there. Everything was kind of slow motion. Took the range on it, told me what it was, pulled the trigger, and I hit it. I thought, all right, I like this. So now my bolt gun that I take out west, it has my ABL 1000 on it. I don't move it. I leave it on there just for that instance if you do get one out there, Or
Right.
I've hunted cleanup in tournaments before, and the cleanup guy is the guy that takes a longer range gun that's a flatter shooting. And if we get one that's hung up at 300 or 400 or 500 yards, and the other guys don't want to take a shot, I
Right.
mean, I'm not afraid to send it. I trust the equipment. I'll send it. You know, but you talk about the environmentals. I actually came back from that trip, and I don't think I was in the pro staff group yet. And I went to the ATN Smart Owners page, and I was like, "Man, I did this video, and it was great on the, the drop, and everything was great." And one of the pro staffers goes, "Did you do anything with the environmentals?" I was like, "What's that?" So here I was bashing on these guys for not reading the instruction manual, and I think I took the ABL manual and threw it up on the desk, and I never read it. And I was like, felt like a dummy, but it's part of it.
Right. No, absolutely. Absolutely. So you've during this conversation, you've mentioned several states. How many states have you hunted in the US, and have you done any kind of international hunting as well?
Never done anything international.
Hmm.
I've hunted with Tony in Indiana. I've hunted with my buddies out in Virginia. I've been to Colorado. I've hunted in Missouri. Hunted in South Dakota. And it's all predator hunting. I
Right.
don't hunt deer. I don't hunt geese. I don't hunt ducks. I, I mean, I'm a 365 day a year predator hunting junkie.
Gotcha.
Um, I wake up thinking about one more day closer to season. I wake up thinking about a trip coming up. I am currently in talks with Damien, the other pro staffer from Arkansas. I'm
Right.
supposed to head down there sometime in September, October. We're going to hunt some hogs. I've never hunted hogs yet. We
Perfect.
don't have a lot of them. We don't have a lot of them in Illinois.
Right.
So Damien's like, come on down. So I'm going to go down there and hunt with him. And that goes back to the hunting community. Having these friends and relationships with these people.
Right.
Example of the guys in Virginia. I made a comment 2-3 years ago. I was out there for Thanksgiving with family, and my uncle had some ground. He's like, bring your stuff, we'll go hunt. Well, his idea of hunting and my idea of hunting were two different. He wanted to go drive 30 minutes, make one stand, and go home. Well, I wanted to go drive around all night.
Right.
So I made a comment on Facebook, and through guys, hey, like this photo, and you end up being Facebook friends. A guy from Virginia commented, he goes, hey man, you're only 15 minutes from me. Well, little did I know that I would end up hunting with him, and then going back in July and hunting with them. And then every time I go to Virginia now, I hunt with them.
Fantastic.
And it has nothing to do with, ATN this or Pulsar this or Halo that. It's just the hunting community. They have a passion. They use one brand. I have a passion. I use another brand. We compare brands. We look at each other's stuff. And they're good at what they do. And I've learned a lot from them. And it's that hunting community and the guys, keeping it going. And they share videos and I share videos. And now it's like we've been friends for 20 years, So
No, absolutely.
It's
all
fun.
about that building that community, building these lifelong
Absolutely.
friendships,
Absolutely.
getting to know people, lots of opportunities start opening up. I get invited on hunts all the time. I don't have the opportunity to go because I'm
Right.
just swamped with everything that I have to manage and do. But it's just opportunities galore, right? The more people you kind of expose yourself to and kind of reach out to and help out or communicate with and interact with, the more willing people are to open their doors in their homes
Right.
and invite you to not only to visit with them but also to hunt with them. And
Right.
hunting is a very um, a very amazing experience. I always encourage everybody on these segments to, if you've never been hunting, you should go hunting with somebody that knows what they're doing, so they could show you exactly what it is about. And it's I can't even express the feelings that you get, the adrenaline, the patience that you have to kind of build up, all these things that culminate into a successful or not successful hunt. Just it's very, it's an amazing experience, to say the least.
It's been, I mean, obviously in 2013 when I started getting into it, and I had hunted when I was a teenager at home, but once I got out, on my own,
All right.
money, resources, for whatever reason, I just didn't spend a lot of time hunting. Well, then as I got older and got a better job and advanced myself, I regret not being passionate about it, 25 years ago. Um, I can't imagine how much better I would be. I mean, I've only been at it 8 years, like real into it,
Right.
studying how they work, how things work. Um, I can't imagine what I'd have been like if I'd have been, 25 years of knowledge at this. Uh, we see some of these guys. I mean, we've got guys in the group that, thousand hogs a year. I mean, that's not, they're not doing it just for the sport. The hog problem down south, I mean,
Is a
I
big
mean,
problem.
it's a big problem. I mean, I've seen guys that aren't in our group, farmers come by and give them, new set of tires, or they give them 55-gallon drums of corn for their feeders to help them. I mean, they
Right.
appreciate what you do.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely, because it costs the farmers thousands upon thousands of dollars every single
Thousands.
year.
Uh,
It's the financial loss sometimes is really incomprehensible.
right.
And they are appreciative of the guys that do volunteer and go out of their way to
Yeah.
patrol their fields and help out and get rid of these nuisance
Yep.
animals from their farmland. Absolutely.
Yep. And the power of social media, I mean, it's powerful.
Yeah.
I mean, I started, I'll say this, I think, and I'm not, don't quote me on this for sure, but when I got the opportunity in maybe November of 19, maybe November of, I think it was November of 19, I had like 400 friends on Facebook, and I now have almost 1,000.
Mm.
And it's people that I've interacted with, people that have commented on a video, people that follow the YouTube, people that follow my page. Because, like, here in Illinois, I mean, I have a setback versus Tony, who can hunt year round in Indiana,
Right.
or Damien that can hunt year round down in Arkansas. I
Yeah,
have
we
5
are really
months.
limited by the states we reside in, because
Exactly.
California is not hunting friendly. So
Right.
if you think you have limited opportunities, I
Right.
have even less
Yeah, your
opportunities.
opportunities in California are way less. But guys in the Illinois area, I told you before, I couldn't even count how many guys have commented like, "Hey, you're only an hour from me. Is
Right.
there any way we can meet up and you show me, this or that?" Because in Illinois, where we live, there aren't any stores that carry a lot of the product. I
Right.
bought my stuff sight unseen based off what somebody else on social media did. Hey, if it's good enough for Steve, it's good enough for me. And
Right.
then, so me passing that along, I mean, I don't know how many guys I've helped set up, firmware update, stuff like that. And then the next thing you know, hey man, you want to come up here and hunt with me? Hey man, you want to, I got this guy that's down there that I know that he
Right.
needs somebody to do this or do that. The social media is powerful. And the likes that I get and the comments I get, and you've seen my videos. I put on there my
Right.
misses and I put on there my hits because I'm
Right.
real. I don't want to just put out there all this, glorified, doctored up footage. I put on there real. When I missed, well, I missed that one, Matt. Sorry, buddy. It
It
happens.
happens. It
And
happens
that's
to
what
all of
guys
us.
want to see.
It
They
happens
want
to
to
all of
see
us.
real hunters make real mistakes or real hunters make positive things.
Right.
You know, and then, you know, obviously having a social media following, when you're going to talk to farmers or landowners, you can say, hey, check us out here, check us out there. And, you know, they can see the videos. And it's, I mean, we went from
Gives you a lot of credibility, especially if you're hunting for more lease land and
absolutely,
you're approaching those landowners, and you have a following and you have some assets that you could share with them on the
yep,
spot. They kind of open up to you more because you have the credibility of this, the
yep,
established credibility, and it shows them that you know what you're doing, and they feel more comfortable. But again, this is all about community. This is all about helping your local communities. You're helping your fellow hunters with the gear, with stands, with knowledge transfer, because we all learn, right? Everybody
right.
doesn't know everything. It's impossible. We learn from our mistakes. We learn from our successes. Life lessons, like always go to check-in,
Always
no
go to
matter
check
what.
in.
Always go to check-in, no matter what.
Sorry,
That
Tony. Always go to check in. I promise I'll do it from now on.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, Brian, buddy, I really enjoyed our conversation today. I hope you enjoyed yourself. I hope our viewers enjoyed this conversation, a little banter back and forth. We strive to get you guys original content that's relevant to you, get you information that's relevant to you, and provide information about our great products that we manufacture here at ATN. I hope I'll see you guys next time. We'll have another wonderful pro staff member joining our segment. See you guys later. Thanks a lot.